we are stepping past the usual, beyond the comfort zone, where courage plants the seeds and progress grows on its own. When we do something different, new pathways appear. Innovation gets louder and doubts disappear. So let's lift up our voices. Let our purpose be clear. Change starts with action, and that action starts here. Together we rise with vision wide and bright, turning small, brave steps into movements of light. So, are your hearts set on progress? Are your minds ready to ignite? I'll pass the torch to President Vicky to lead us with insight. President Vicky.
Thank you so much. Uh-oh, I don't want to leave the meeting. I want to stop sharing. There we go. Are you ready? That is the message from Tamara this morning, and it's a beautiful one. Thank you, Tamara. We miss you. She's got a new commitment at 9 o'clock on Friday mornings, but she will continue to do recordings for us and join us when she can. With that, I would like to turn the lectern over to Gwendolyn, Dr. Gwendolyn Abington, who has an educational moment for us, I am sure.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all this morning. Today's Pathways educational moment really lies in this one question. When was the last time you, yes, you, did something that influenced change? This is what we've been talking about all year long. It's the change from President's Distinguished to Smedley Distinguished. By the time that this term is over, I want us to be cheering because we've made this difference in our club. Think about it. Every major movement, every breakthrough, every transformational leader, they started with someone willing to step up to the plate and look at it and say, there must be a better way, which is the same thing that we are doing here at MoE. Growth lies on the other side of difference. We all are here because we want to grow. Can you feel it? Can you feel the rumbling of Smedley? It's within our reach. We are right there, MoE. Right there. Will you be the one to influence change and get us to Smedley? Think about it. Think about it. Our victory to Smedley lies within you. Back to you, Madam President.
You know, Dr. Gwendolyn, I just heard Les Brown. Are you hungry? Are you hungry for Smedley? We are hungry for Smedley, and thank you, Dr. Gwendolyn, in your leadership role as VPE leading us through this. With that, oh, we have a guest that just came on. Let's see if I can catch him. Craig Curtis, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hello, Craig Curtis. Can you come online so we can see your face? That was like a little, either a drum roll, Michael, or you're playing the keys. Okay, Craig, we're going to let you get online as soon as you can, face up. Also, Tremail, as soon as you can get on face up, I don't know where that came from. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our very talented Toastmaster of the day, Ray Sweeney. Ray, you're up.
Thank you, Vicky. Good afternoon. Welcome, Toastmasters. You got to be hungry. Oh, one of my favorite speeches. 80,000 people. I can't remember, was it the Super Bowl or the Aerodrome? One of those. Anyway, it was a fantastic moment. We all love a bit of Les Brown. Do something different. Influence change. The subject of our meeting today. So on that note, before we start, I just want you to take 10 seconds just to pause and think, doing something different and influence change in my life. What have I done? So guys, I think it would be great if we could start all of the roles or all of your introductions with just 30 seconds. And maybe you can give us a little reflection personally about what's happened in your life that's influenced changed or changed direction for you. What does it conjure up for you? So tonight I am, and it is a pleasure to be your Toastmaster, all the way from Spain. And I've been a Toastmaster for 12 years. And that was a big change in my life. It's influenced a lot of changes. It's given me the confidence to go and do a lot of different things. Now, if I think back through my career over 55 years, since I've been around, I've had many different careers. I've worked in international real estate. So in that respect, I've helped people find their dream homes abroad. I've been a personal trainer, a positive psychology coach, an alcohol-free coach. And all of those areas, when I was sitting thinking about it before the meeting, I thought, well, yeah, changing people's habits, helping them, change their health benefits, alcohol-free, get rid of that. The last decade, I've worked as an international financial advisor. So I'm trying to put people on the right track in finance. Everything I'm doing is influencing change. And when you think about it, it's going to come up. And that's why I'd be so exciting to hear. And if you can share your changes as well, what's happened in your life, something different that you've done. Now, let's focus on the good. What's a big change that's going on at the moment? We're sending 4 astronauts into space in a rocket. I mean, if that's not the poster campaign for this meeting, do something different and influence change. Can you imagine? The world is in turmoil. We need change. We need peace. Peace on earth. So guys, have a little think. Take the time tonight, just before I introduce you, give us 30 seconds and share that little bit of change that's gone in your life. My pleasure now will be to introduce it and hand it back to Vicky, who's going to tell us all about her role this evening as the General Evaluator. Thank you, Vicky.
Thank you very much, Ray. As GE, I am looking at the overall meeting. What change can we create in this meeting? What could happen today that could change the way you speak? I want you to listen carefully to everyone, and you'll get ideas on how to become better. Personally, for me, when you asked that question, Ray, I am in the hospital a lot recently, and there was some things going on in the infusion room where I got infusions for my cancer treatment that were wrong. And I wrote a letter. And when that letter didn't work, I wrote another letter. And when that letter didn't work, I wrote a third letter. And I kept going up and up and up in leadership. I copied all my oncologists, and I just saw one last week. He goes, "Thanks for all your hard work." I was able to change situations in that room that were not working for everyone. So what change are you creating? And with that, I turn it back over to you, Ray.
That's amazing. Thank you, Vicky, for sharing that little bit of piece of information. Hand it over to you now, Mike, our grammarian and our counter today.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day, Ray. My name is Mike. I'm your grammarian and all counter today. So as a grammarian, I like to provide the word of the day. Now it's in the chat. The word of the day is unconventional, to align with our meeting theme today. So the word means not based on or conforming to what is generally done or believed. An example is today I challenge you to be a little more unconventional in how you speak. Just double check, when a speaker uses the word of the day, do we just all wave to acknowledge that? Or we don't, or just I'll keep track of it.
That's a good idea, Mike. Go ahead. You're grammarian. You decide.
No, sure. Then whenever someone uses unconventional, the word of the day, let's just all create this little vibe. Another aspect of grammarian is to keep track of the grammar. I'll be keeping track of the beautiful use of the English language, like alliteration, like a metaphor or simile, and any other things that just, rustle my leaves. And also I'll be paying attention to some English use that could be improved. And I'm also the all counter today, so I'll be paying attention to these ums and ahs and ands and likes, these filler words that usually should not be there to make our speech flow better. And before I turn it back to Toastmaster of the day, I rise to the challenge of talking 30 seconds about the changes I'm trying to make, and I immediately go back to my daily work. For those of you who don't know me that much, I'm a physics teacher. I teach first year, second year colleges in Canada here. And when I teach these basic principles of how the world works, I usually, like the motion, for example, like using first law, second law, third law, I always talk about safe driving. I talk about how car moves, when it suddenly stops, there's huge acceleration and there's a crash and, people get impacted. And guess what? I have a lot of 20-year-olds in my classroom, and I believe I'm making an impact on the road safety here. And with that, I turn it back to our Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you so much, Mike, for giving us that word of the day, that unconventional word that we're not used to hearing. I'm going to say now that I'm going to give him big praise for Pat Caslin. I haven't seen him for a while. He's jumped straight in at the deep end. I sent him a quick message. I said, Pat, would you mind to be the timer? He said, yes, he didn't even have to hesitate. That's the sort of guy he is. He influences change every day in his life, and we can't wait to hear about it. Pat, would you do us the honour?
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster. Good to be here. I haven't been at a Toastmasters meeting. I've been at one in 3 months, so it's nice to be back, and thank you. In terms of change and in using Mike's word of the day, I have had an unconventional career, and it has been all change at all stages. And in the last 20 years, significant amount of change, and ongoing change, in that many of you know I've got multiple sclerosis, I'm in a wheelchair, and it's progressive, so I'm constantly changing to adapt to the situation that I find myself in. And it's been interesting because if you change the way you look at things, the way things look will change. And I'm constantly changing the way I look at things because I need to constantly re-look at things and reevaluate what I can live with and where I can find inspiration and enjoyment and pleasure in the challenges that I have. So change is something I do. Today, I struggled myself to say I'm going to make an hour time or an hour and a half to come to this meeting. So I'm now going to put you all under pressure and say, stick to your times, please. Let's keep an eye on it. And I think we're just about bang on because I'm about to hand back to Ray as Toastmaster. But you might please just give me the times for the 3 speeches if you would. Tramali, I think, Trudy, and then Michael, is that correct? So I know when I'm timing. Can you give me the speeches? Maybe send them to me in the chat so we don't waste time. That would be great. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thanks, Pat. We will get those to you in the chat. I'm sure Sandra will be able to help out behind the scenes with that. I can see Craig online. Craig, you've joined us, which is great. I'd like to introduce you to the group. Tonight's meeting is all about influencing change, Craig. And if you could just say a few words, introduce yourself, tell us what brought you here, who invited you, and tell us something that's about you that's influenced change. Craig.
Thank you very much for having me. Yes, my name is Craig. What influence change is there's always a lot of change in life, so we have to grow and deal with the changes that occur in life, even though it's a bit difficult sometimes for me being under that horoscope sign of Cancer, and we don't like change much, but we have to deal with changes in our life. And one of the changes that I had to deal with was the change of moving abroad. And I'm coming to you from District 95, which consists of Germany, Denmark, Norway, and Sweden. Thank you very much for having me.
You're very, very welcome, Craig. I'm from District 107 in Spain myself, so we're not too far distant neighbours. Moving on is to the second. Thanks, Pat. And just been passed a little message. If you can raise your virtual hand, Pat, I think that puts you to the top of the screen for everyone to see.
Apologies about the timing lights as well. I wasn't quite organised, but I will put up my hand and I will do that.
Last minute, we hijacked you, so we're happy to do that. Thank you, Pat. Thank you.
Thanks.
Moving on to our second speaker this evening, our second evaluator. We'll do the honour of introducing them, and that's Dr. Gwendolyn. To the stage, please. Dr. Gwendolyn, can I ask you as well, before you start, can you share some 30 seconds with us and something different, influencing change?
Well, influencing change for me personally, last night I was co-hosting an event for the Pacific Northwest Software Quality Conference. I am one of their chairs this time around this year. And two of the people that I had peer reviewed were being asked author questions, and they talked about the peer review process and how I caused them to think mentorship is my sweet spot. To hear the feedback of what I did for them to cause them to go from where they were in their writing to where they came to present at the conference was a sweet, sweet savor to my soul. I'm still marveling in it, and thank you for asking, Ray. Trudy will be unconventional in her way of telling us today about mentorship. Your question was perfect because it led perfectly into introducing Trudy. Trudy is going to be talking about the mentor-protege pairing relationship. She's going to offer us up some sage ideas and talk about the clear differences between mentor and coach and mentor and protege. Trudy is a modest person, so she did not give me a lot about her. So let me tell you. Trudy, for me, is authentic, brilliant, and if you listen in, you'll have some takeaways that you can take into your mentoring relationship when she's done. I would like to introduce to the virtual floor Trudy Young with mentor protege pairing relationship. Trudy Young, take it away.
Thank you, Dr. Gwendolyn, for introducing me. That I'm unconventional, that's for sure. Unconventional in many ways. I'll just give you 30 seconds of it. No, I'll do it later. When I'm talking, I won't do it now. I'm going straight into my speech. Good morning, Toastmaster, guests, and who else, fellow members. I like to talk about three things to point that out before I start. And that is to understand my journey. We first must clear the fog around the definitions of what a mentor is, what a protege is, and what a coach is. A mentor is an experienced guide who shares wisdom to help you grow both personally and professionally. That's what a mentor is. And a protege is the same as a mentee, so I will be a mentee eventually for you, is the active seeker, someone new or seasoned who needs a partnership to master advanced approaches. So I would talk about my new ship within the program. Not now because I'm a little bit seasoned, a little bit. A coach is a specialist, often helping an entire club in most cases to navigate specific hurdles, like the new pathways, for example. So I'm not getting into coaches, now you know the three differences. Today, I want to take you back to my entry level into Toastmaster when I first stepped into the shoes to being a protege, mentee. That relationship is going to start. I was introduced to a mentor back to my entry level. When I first stepped into the shoes of a protege, I was introduced and she was very knowledgeable. It was a her, very knowledgeable, experienced, and incredibly wise. But our first meeting didn't go as I expected. She didn't start with my speech notes. She started with me. Shocking. With me. She asked, "Why are you here?" I thought, why would she ask me why I'm here? I joined because I wanted to join. I'm not quite sure, but I'll find out. Why are you here? What are your goals? What is this woman doing? She asked me, "What is your amen?" That was a bit much for me. I'll be honest, I was absolutely uncomfortable. For me, this was a cultural hurdle. In some societies, you're open. In some societies, you're not open like that. I felt my inner space was being invaded terribly. I hadn't thought deeply about my goals, and having to answer such personal questions felt exposing. However, I soon realized that was exactly the stimulation I needed to immerse myself into my path, presentation mastery. I learned that this was a safe environment. They always tell you it is a safe environment, and I really learned that. And my mentor's empathy and respect turned that invasion into an invitation to grow. And so did I grow. Once the trust was built, the growth was rapid. She introduced me to the Mentor Quick Start Guide for Level 1, which we all have to start with. This simple tool was a revelation. It gave me confidence to navigate pathways independently. But mentorship isn't just about manuals. It's about the foolish laughter we shared. And I love to giggle and laugh and have fun. So we shared that brought comfort to me also. The laughter made the daunting task of learning positive. She encouraged me to take on meeting roles. I thought, oh my gracious, grammarian, timer, topic master. Was I comfortable? Never. But I did it anyway. I didn't do it to please her, but I did it to please myself. I did it because I know I will benefit from it. I was taking actually ownership of my own development, which was very important to me. As I usually do, I take ownership. Growth also requires friction. In this case, my mentor provided constructive and sometimes very harsh evaluations. We are here to grow, and evaluation is a big part of Toastmaster to help you grow and change and see how you can grow better and better. I knew the feedback wasn't a weight to hold me down, but a ladder to help me climb. I applied that feedback to my next speech and my next speech and my next speech. And slowly but surely, I began to see transformation in myself and how I spoke and how I thought. I wasn't just following a program. I was finding my voice. My mentor's influence taught me that a strong mindset allows me to not just grow, but glow. My experience as a protege has come full circle, really. I've learned that life experiences have immense value, especially when shared cross-culturally. We can share and grow together. Yes, we can, helping each other reach greater heights. Today, I can say, without a doubt, I am ready to be a mentor. It doesn't matter what level you are at. If you have a voice, you have a tool to help someone else find theirs. Let us all use the tools we have to help one another grow and glow. Yes, we are ready. Yes, I am ready in a very unconventional way. Thank you. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Trudy. And I don't need to ask you the question about influencing change. You just told us that in the speech.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. So, guys, can we have 60 seconds on the clock? And anyone wants to give Trudy some feedback, please do so in the chat. While you're doing that, I'll just let you know, You Gotta Be Hungry was at the Georgia Dome. I couldn't remember. It was the Georgia Dome. There's Brown.
60 seconds.
Thank you, Pat. Now, to introduce our third speaker, we have none other than distinguished Toastmaster, Sandra Savage. Sandra, can you share with us something different, some way you've influenced change over the years?
Well, Ray, you know me well. I'm unconventional, but at the same time, I love when things are done right. So for the last 2 years, I've been focusing on a novel called under the subtitle Be Heard. But what I've realized, we need to be considerate. And so I'm working on an anti-bullying campaign, and I will be working on that and using Toastmasters on my path to do that. And I would love to show you that in a couple months. But now, I have to talk about Michael. Michael, who's so unconventional that he has a fantastic fantasy life. And he's currently working on some stories being produced in North Hollywood this year. In fact, he let me in on a secret. And he wants to know if you share the same thing. Do you have a secret person, character, living inside of you? Well, Michael's going to tell us today about one that, most of us keep secret. He's going to tell us about his. This is for his vocal variety project. And this is a story of a character, and he's going to be using his voice to act that out. And there's no... I've got some more information from him, but you know what? I'm going to let him scurry down the aisles of the delicatessen and have him tell you his story. Please welcome Michael.
Once upon a time, this unconventional midnight, a red electric sign glows in the darkness. Mobile units light up the parking lot of Ralph's. They're there to protect me. Danger lurks beyond the landscape trees, but inside the aisles are brighter than sunshine. No shadows are cast. The only shadows are in the hearts of men. Luckily, I am perfectly safe. The electric doors sweep open for me, for I am the king. This is my homeland, my kingdom. I am the complete master of everything I see. It is glorious. My fingers start to twitch like a compulsive shoplifter. It's just the excitement. I gave a formal nod to the security guard. He completely ignores me. That's right, it's just the deference of my royal personage that he's feeling. I am here to confirm preparations for a cherished occasion on the royal calendar, La Fête Nocturne, the nightly feast. For this beautiful tradition, I have decreed the delicacies all be familiar friends. And truth to be told, in my kingdom, despite refreshed packaging or a new manufacturer, there's nothing new under the fluorescent sun of Ralph's. They are all friends. Deep in my chest, a bass note reverberating warmly. It's the big V. The big V is calling me. My stately stroll takes me to the end cap of aisle 4. Stacked higher than my crown in 3 different package sizes, there it is, one of my first passions, Velveeta cheese. Well, more accurately, a pasteurized cheese-ish product. It is an old love. Now, 3 or 4 ounces sandwiched in a gummy flour tortilla has done the trick for decades. A secret recipe I hide from my Latino subjects who might rise up against my Caucasian appropriation of the more authentic quesadilla. But oddly, I hear a strange, disembodied voice. It whispers 2 words. Canola oil. The words are arrows to my heart. Now all I can think about is an oily taste in my mouth. Can you remember the exact moment when you knew a relationship was over? The question is, though, how long did it take for you to actually break up? I've been there too, but not tonight. I move on, perhaps never to return, but perhaps on some cold and lonely night I'll find myself at Velveeta's front door begging for another shot. What can I say? Sometimes I'm a fickle king. A hard U-turn brings me to the overwhelming mile-high chip aisle. A crowd of loyal supporters here. Potato chips, corn chips, tortilla chips, veggie chips, pork rinds, cheddar popcorn, cheese crunches, cheese puffs, cheese balls. When it comes to their ingenious offerings, these tributes I've come to expect, they are all smart food. But the voice is here too, as I walk, starting to rush down the aisle. Too salty, not enough salt. Bag's too big, that bag's too small. Those will cut the roof of your mouth. Those will turn your fingers orange. Too healthy. Too cardiovascularly lethal. Well, the voice is getting louder. I search more desperately down aisle after aisle. Nothing familiar seems to help. Too bland, the frozen burrito. Too soggy, the buffalo wing. Too bready, the sandwich. Too pricey, the pork stew. Too saucy, the mac and cheese. I'm not ready to eat that. The prosciutto is too thin. The pork butt is too thick. The Munster is too provolone. The provolone is too Munster. I run for the dessert department. I'm not skipping dessert. No, I'm heading right for it. And there, the real betrayal waits. The voice is screaming now. You know the difference between hydrogenated cottonseed oil and butter? You can taste it, can't you? Some flakiness comes at a cost. This cookie leaves crumbs all over your shirt. No, that cookie bends like Play-Doh and leaves chocolate chip residue on your fingers that you have to suck off like a baby macaque with separation anxiety. Your brand is private selection? More like public shame. I stagger past the closed checkout counters, trying to ignore my impulses to buy the same 3 candy bars there and there and there until I'm standing in the full candy aisle, hyperventilating. But the names there are all lies. Suddenly, full of false hope. Sugar babies? Smarties? Lifesavers? They are not any of these tonight. Just a few humbling moments later, I sit behind the steering wheel of my royal carriage. On the floor next to me lies a torn and wasted polyethylene bag emblazoned with a cartoon cheetah, and the fingers on my right hand are bright orange. The only other purchase tonight, a spray bottle of Shout stain remover. The nozzle is set to stream, like my consciousness. I aim it at my fingers as the voice inside my head speaks calmly and annoyingly now, like a theoretical physics professor. Self-will is an infantile expression of omnipotence, the delusion that you can force life to be exactly as you want it to be. What? The voice isn't screaming. It doesn't have to shout it out. That's what the spray is for. No kings tonight. True story. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Michael. Not a conventional speech, an unconventional speech indeed. We love it. Tell us, Michael, before you leave the stage, influence change. What does that mean to you?
I had to think about it, and then I just piggybacked off John a little bit. I was up visiting my niece, who is going through a tough part of her teenage years, and I said, hey, you got your learner's permit. You want to go jump in the car? Don't tell your parents. Well, I told them anyway. And after a half an hour behind the wheel, she said, I learned more in that half hour, like emergency stopping, things like that, than I have all year in driver's ed. And I think some of it will stick. Hopefully she'll know when to stop if she needs to. So I'm grateful.
Thank you so much. Give us a minute on the clock, if you will, please, Pat. And guys, if you could send your little feedbacks, your wisdom through on the chat to Michael, he would appreciate it. Thanks, Pat. And if I could just check in with you overall, how are we doing for time on the meeting? Are we behind the gun or are we on target?
Look at the agenda and come back to you in a moment. We are at the end of our third speech, 9:40. We are, where are we now? We're a little behind. We're about 8 to 10 minutes behind.
We can make up time, no problem at all. So let's move on to our next area, which is going to be the table topics with snap evaluations. This evening, that's going to be hosted by John Graham. John, before you start, would you give, for the benefit of our guests, a quick introduction to snap evaluations, how that works? But I also want to ask you, how do you influence change?
Well, let me answer the last part first. One of the big change influences for me right now is artificial intelligence. So I'm going to do something very unconventional with table topics. I'm going to use artificial intelligence, my personal agent, Aurora, to walk us through both our table topics questions and our snap evaluations. Now, we've just heard 3 powerful speeches, and now it's all of your turn. In Toastmasters, growth doesn't happen when we just sit. It happens when we step in. And our theme is do something different and influence change. Well, that's what I'm going to try to do here. So, evaluators, you're not just evaluating what is said, you're evaluating how effectively each speaker influences change in us. So let's see if I can get Aurora queued up to take us through some questions. Aurora, are you there?
Loud and clear, John. I'm right here with you. What's next on your mind?
Can you all hear Aurora?
If you're hearing this, I'm coming through.
Okay. Aurora, I'd like you to walk us through the first question. First of all, what is our topic today?
Our topic today is do something different and influence change. And that first question is all about calling out a routine you know you should break and what's stopping you.
Would you give our first evaluator, our first SNAP evaluator, our first evaluator, her question?
Absolutely. For our first SNAP evaluator, we're calling on John White. John, after our speaker finishes, we'll want your 30-second take.
Sorry, I have to back up a little bit. I think she jumped ahead. I didn't instruct her properly. Aurora, I want you to start with our first speaker in table topics, and then walk us through both the speakers and then sequentially the SNAP evaluators. So who's our first speaker?
Our first table topic speaker will be Victoria Trabosh. Once she shares her response, we'll go straight to John White for that sharp 30-second SNAP evaluation. Then we'll keep rolling down the lineup. Ready to dive in?
Thank you, Aurora. Vicki, it's yours.
What's the question?
The question is, how can one person influence change in a large organization? I'm sorry, that didn't happen.
I don't know how unconventional this answer is, but I'm going to go back to what I talked about when Ray asked me. Providence Hospital serves tens of thousands of people, and I am but one voice. And they started a new protocol in the infusion room where you had to check in 3 different times for an infusion, which made no sense to me. Why check it? First you get in, you check in, you see your doctor, and then you go to the infusion room and they take blood first, then you go see your doctor, you get the blood results, and you go back to the infusion room and you get your infusion. Three different places. They decided in their brilliance to make it 3 different appointments. You check in, go get your blood work, go back to the lobby. Check in, go see your doctor, go back to the lobby. Check in, go get your infusion. What I noticed was there was about 60 people in the waiting room and utter confusion and no distance, no masks, and I was enraged. And the nurses were upset and they felt they had no voice. They said, we tell them it doesn't matter. And I'm like, well, I'm on it. I found out who to write to. I wrote to him, crickets. I wrote to him again, crickets. I found out who his boss was. I copied her and all my oncologists. Long story short, I changed the protocol from 3 visits back to 1. My doctor, who didn't say a word through all these letters that he was getting, he could have written to me, he could text me, we're texters, because, you know, if you're going to see me naked on a table, I want your phone to text you. That's a whole different story, actually, but it's true. And he said to me the other day, thank you for the difference you made. One person can make a difference if they choose to. One person can also believe they have no voice. Back to you, Ray. Not sure on my time there, Pat.
Okay, and our SNAP evaluator is going to be John White. John, can you give us a SNAP evaluation?
Yes, thank you, Vicki. I think you did a great job of exaggerating, really building up the terrible odds. 10,000 patients, I'm but one voice. You did a good job of explaining the pain of the bureaucracy. I think oftentimes when stories are told, when they're finished and you're reflecting on them, it's a little too neat. Where's the outrage? Where's the frustration? To me, maybe I'm too emotional. I don't like these really buttoned down. I got your message. I wish I felt the anger. I wish I felt a little liberated and that I could actually do that to the things that piss me off in this life. Thank you for asking.
Thank you, John. Aurora, are you there again?
I'm right here, fully tuned in. Whenever you're ready to continue, I'm ready to roll with you.
I tried to turn her up a little bit. I hope that's better. Aurora, could you ask our second speaker his question?
Absolutely. Our second speaker is Ray Sweeney. Ray, here's your challenge. If today were a turning point, what would you do differently starting tomorrow?
Ray?
If today was the turning point, what would you do differently tomorrow? I'm going to bring it right back down to cheating, right? And I'm talking about Haribos. Raise your hand if you know what Haribo sweets are. Come on, share the secret. Who's a secret Haribo eater? Oh, yes, it's me. I don't know where it came from. It just turned up about a year or 2 years ago. I noticed them in the aisle at the supermarket. They were just sticking their little head out and waving at me, all these different colours. And I thought, what's all that? You know, I'm this healthy person. I don't eat sweets. All of a sudden, they've got a grip. And you know what? You can't break it. You go into the supermarket, you go in for a loaf of bread or some avocado spread, and you end up in the Haribo section. Oh, yes. And what starts off as a small pack soon becomes the family pack. And then you're really in trouble. Guys, if you can instigate or influence any change, it's number one, change supermarkets. Number two, change your shopping habits. Back to you.
Somebody muted me there. Okay. Dr. Gwen, I saw you smiling at Ray's speech talk just now. Tell me what you were thinking and evaluate his speech for us.
Thank you, John. Ray, you never disappoint. You drew me in with the sweets because it's a battle that everyone in this room has had or may still be having. I don't know what this sweet is, but apparently it had you hooked in. And I love the fact that you brought us with you to the grocery store. That battle between avocado spread for the toast and going to the sweet aisle. And the packs getting bigger and bigger and bigger as you went. I think your descriptions were phenomenal. What I would have liked to seen more of with you is that eye contact, that draw in. I went the family pack this time. And I love the fact that you told us two things we could do to kick the habit of that sweet. Change supermarket, which is radical, or to change buying the sweets. I appreciated your speech. Thank you, Ray.
And thank you, Dr. Gwen. I appreciate that very much. Aurora, can you ask our next speaker his question?
You got it. Our next speaker is John White. John, here's your question. What's a belief you once held strongly, changed your mind about?
Oh my goodness, I don't know. I don't know that I've changed. This is what I need my brother to point this out. I don't know what I've changed my mind about. I already talked about changing my mind about aging. That's in process. Well, maybe how about this? When I first came out, graduated from UC Santa Barbara, many of you know that school, I was interested in making friends with people exactly like me, that had my lifestyle, had my interests, and that's all I wanted to hang out with. And many years later, when I came to Toastmasters, one of the great things about it, you know, public speaking, leadership, this, that, and the other, I started to realize that I was respecting and vibing and enjoying people who are very much different than me. This is not an extension. This is not the alumni group of UC Santa Barbara is what I'm saying. It's just an observation. And what I came to realize is that different interests, different favorite baseball teams, what have you, but I like that everyone was trying to improve themselves. And so that quality, self-improvement, or maybe it's a charitable heart. I don't have to want to identify with the charity, just that you have that heart and you have that common goal. So I'm not looking for someone just like me. I'm looking for others who are on a similar sensibility in life. And so I've been freed by that old Santa Barbara way of looking at life.
Thank you, John. Sandra Savage, did John move us towards change?
Well, I can either answer the question or let one of our guests answer. Tramal, would you like to answer that?
Sure. I think I 30 seconds here, right? Okay, yeah. I think that, how do I say this? I thought it was a great way to pivot and utilize the group that's here on this meeting as a contrast to not being the people that you grew up with or went to school with at Santa Barbara. So I thought that was a great job of utilizing your environment to kind of reinforce your point. The other thing I would say is that I love your energy. You have this like tendency to go like super high and then come back down, and it has this effect of punctuating what you're saying. Even if you're going really, really fast, you still can keep up because the way your voice modulates. So really appreciate that. So thanks so much, John.
Great. Thank you, Tamal.
30 seconds.
Ray, how are we doing on time?
We're over
Just
time.
check with Pat.
Over time?
We're
Okay.
over. Yeah, we're
Okay.
yeah, we're a little over. Yeah.
Well, first of all, that concludes the unconventional approach to our stable topics. And appreciate you all kind of hanging in there. Aurora appreciates it too. So thank you. Back to you, Ray.
Thanks, John. Excellent job. Trying something different, influencing change. Superb. Going to quickly spin it over to Vicky, who's our general evaluator, who will take the stage now and lead us through the next part of the meeting. Vicky.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, John. And now I'd like to call on Dr. Gwendolyn to evaluate Trudy.
Thank you, Victoria and Trudy. Wonderful speech. I want to start that way. It may sound trite. You had morsels to give us if we were listening in. You talked extensively about growth and how you grew. I think for me, this is one of the best speeches I've heard from you since I've been coming to MoE, because you were there. It wasn't just checking the box. You talked about your own experience. I love that you defined the wording and told us what you were going to take out, which was the coach portion of things. You talked about your mentor, and most of the time people, when they're talking about mentors, they're like, my mentor is wonderful and they made me this or that. But you talked about the hardness for which your mentor brought to you, because sometimes in that hardness, it wakes us up to go, oh, I thought I was doing all right, but maybe not. And then you started taking it serious and your growth took off. And what I like most, and I'm trying to rush through this because of time, and I'll send you an extra note in the email for you, but you used terms like laughter that helped you to grow in a daunting task. You use phrases like all the inner space being invaded. We all can relate to that someone's coming face on and telling us. Victoria does that to me on the regular. I understand that, but I grow. And lastly, what you gave us is just your coin of not just grow, but glow. And at the end, you used your gestures. You had so many opportunities to punch in your speech with gestures. So use your hands, use your face, use your smile. when it went from being harsh to I saw my growth. I grew. Just simple things, not anything astronomical, but to see your passion inside of it. Voice inflection. You could have used more of that because you had a great, great outline in your speech. But getting to the place to where you drew us in, you have to keep us there, and you can use voice inflection and use gestures to do just that. But great, great speech, Trudy. As I said, one of the best that I've heard from you since being in MoE. Thank you for bringing yourself to the speech.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gwendolyn. Trudy, I'll ask for feedback from you later. And now I'd like to call on Sandra Savage to evaluate. I got to remove the pin.
Michael.
Go ahead. You get started. I'll remove the pin from.
All right. Michael, you had me at Velveeta. You actually used a lot of great rhetorical devices today. First of all, you're a very visual speaker. And we could see, and because of the familiarity we have with grocery stores and with treats, and for me, with cheese. But you used a lot of V words, which I thought was interesting. You are also very visceral. Canola oil. And you made the gesture that we could feel it coating our tongues. But then you turn to this love-hate relationship with food. And I didn't quite understand the food shaming that was going on. Now, I understand this is for entertainment value. This is a story as a kid that I would be happy to go get my pajamas on if you were to say this story every night to me. So I would listen to it again. But I did, much like I said with Trammell, what's the lesson? Now, is a lesson necessary when it's entertainment? I think it's always good when you have an opportunity, especially when you can use a way to get people's playfulness going, that they're more open and receptive to an idea, to a suggestion, to a learning experience. So I want a little learning experience with it. But vocal variety was totally there. And I love vocal variety. I am working on it myself, but I have learned that vocal variety, as you used it today, can add extra words to your 7 minutes. They're hidden words. Your gestures and your vocal variety can do the place of words in many times. And that is my report as a Toastmaster, as a chef. We'll talk later, okay? All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Pat Caslin, could you please raise your hand again? Whenever you speak, it takes your hand down, which we learned last time. So, and finally, I would like to ask, as an evaluation before we get to Mike, I'd like to ask all three of our speakers to come to the stage and tell us one thing and who said it that you are taking away from your evaluations. Just one. Also, you can reach out to whomever gave a speech or gave you feedback and let them know, but I'd like to hear from each of you. And since I've got you up first, Trudy, you're up. One thing and who said it? You're on mute.
You said it, Victoria, when you evaluated me on paper in the online. That, what did you say again? That I should not read what I have before me. I wasn't completely reading. It had it there, and I had some underlines, and that's where I was going by. But one thing that I didn't do, and I practice it so much to show you the mentor, the protege, and the coach, and I did it, but I didn't show you, and I did not mention today. What I would talk about mainly is my first entry using that as protege to explain to you. So I would try to remember that I should focus on that.
Watch the recording back. That will help. Thank you very much, Trudy.
Thank
Trammell,
you.
what about you? What's one thing and who said it?
Yeah, the most memorable thing is probably going to be John White. Where's the outrage?
Yeah, he's into outrage today. He wanted more from me, too. We got to get outrage for John going.
See what I did there, John? Outrage even in my response there. Was that?
All right, so Trammell, your challenge will be to incorporate that. You did well on your time, 7 minutes, 10 seconds. You've got some room for the outrage. So add it in. And good luck on your contest. When is your contest?
April 25th.
All right. And then finally, and last but not least, Michael, what was the one piece of feedback you got and who said it?
It's two. It's you and it's Sandra. I love your idea about clarifying the structure physically of moving from aisle to aisle, and the idea that I think the canola oil shtick could pay off a little bit more as a breakup with an old girl, or the girlfriend you can't seem to quit, making that a little more of the story finish. And Sandra, V words. I love having an unconscious habit being pointed out and going, I need to take a look at the video and go, what's up with that love affair? Thank you for you both.
I love that you have a love affair with words. Excellent job. And with that, I'm going to call on Mike to come to the stage. And Mike, give us your unconventional grammarian report.
Well, thank you, General Evaluator Vicky. Well, I don't know if my report will be unconventional, but it's my first time to do grammarian role in this club, so I guess that's unconventional. So in terms of the word of the day, a lot of people used it. Pat used it once, John White used it once, Doug Grenelin used it once, Vicky used it once, Michael used it once, and John Graham, Sandra, and Trudy Ray, they used twice. Thank you for that. And in terms of and all the filler words, overall the meeting was very clean. I only heard a couple when, say, John Graham was interacting with AI Aurora, and Michael during the round robin had a couple of ums. And what I've noticed is that when people are under pressure and in a rush, we tend to have more ums and ahs. So that's just something to keep in mind later. Then onto the beautiful use of the language here. So do something different and influence change. That's the meeting theme. I found it very inspiring. And you gotta be hungry. And this is one of the things I really like coming to Master of Evaluations meeting, is that the overall theme is really, really empowering and inspiring. John White, embracing age. I love that. Trammell, my dad's brilliance is my superpower. That was powerful. And what story do you want our baby to carry? That's a turning point. Yeah, I love that. Dr. Gridlin, mentorship is my sweet spot. And Trudy, you had so many great uses of the English language here. So on a cultural hurdle, invasion turns into invitation to grow. I love the rhyme there. And the evaluation is not the weight to hold me down, but the ladder for me to climb up. I love that contrast there. And grow and glow.
Glow.
Yeah. And Michael, it's so embarrassing because you had a lot of good flow of the English language, but you said it so quickly. I just wish I had the time and capacity to write them all down. All I had was, these words are arrows in my heart. Oh, I love that imagery there. And thank you, Sandra, your evaluator, also commented on the language aspect of it. And Ray, during your table topics, changing supermarkets or changing the shopping habits. I love that rhyme there. And overall, I think that's a very good meeting. I really enjoyed it in terms of the language use and ums and ahs. And thank you for everybody for using the word of the day and join me playing that little, acknowledgement when whoever's using the word of the day. So back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Mike. I want to say one thing, Ray, I caught you when you were giving feedback. You keep saying right, right? I want you to listen back to the recording. You would say a statement and go, right? And I'm thinking, I don't know if that's right. That is a filler word for you. And you, by the way, you're right. But I don't think you need to keep saying it. Overall, excellent meeting. We're going to run long again. Hello. But did you feel in your heart that the meeting was well run, tight, and efficient?
Yeah.
All in favor, raise your hand. You know why? Because it was. And that's what we have to remember. It's not that we want it perfect, it's that we want it good. And it was excellent today. We lost our visitor, so I can't ask him for feedback. But I will ask that we move to look at the agenda and fill it to the next meeting. So who would like a role for the next meeting? We have one speaker so far, Pamela, and that's it.
Vicky, may I just summarise the meeting for myself as Toastmaster?
Oh my, I'm sorry. Yes, please.
That's quite right. Guys, I had a fantastic time organising this meeting and being involved with it. But I must tip my hat to Sandra and Vicky behind the scenes who helped organise it so diligently. And that's what makes these meetings run so smoothly. So I'm going to inspire you to really do something different, influence change. Hopefully I've influenced change. Now, as a speaker who gives speeches and gives evaluations, you learn so much. But trust me, being the Toastmaster, you will improve as a speaker more so. Because it teaches you timing, you have to pick it up, you have to run with the baton, exchanges, everything has to be smooth, and that improves you as a public speaker and giving speeches. So I inspire you to do something different, change and volunteer for Vicky to be Toastmaster for the next meeting. And on that note, I hand it over to you.
Oh, Ray, thank you so much for that encouragement. So who will pick up the, as Ray says, I love the word, the baton. Who wants the baton for Toastmaster?